So get your hair. Get your hair, bro. So here's the base color. I add a rim, a dark rim outside, and then a bright rim in the middle. Then I color the line art too, if you wanna, but sometimes I'm too lazy to do that. But I colored it here. Now for me right now, the rim isn't that dark, so I either increase it to like 70 opacity instead of very low. And then I merge it all in one layer because one layer is fun to work with. Then I make sure to enable lock pixels or alpha lock. Then what I do, the light usually pick the brightest color. So imagine the hair like this. It's cut into different parts. That's one, that's two, that's three, and then the back hair is the fourth one. So every strand, like a piece of hair comple. I don't think that's the right word, but think of it as different hair. So for this hair, you'd imagine this part only. So what is the brightest of that part? This part. So I pick the brightest usually, and then do a border near the line art, but not over the line art, inside the line art. But if it's too bright, sometimes I pick closer to the darker one, like a mid-tone, then do that instead. Still too bright, you can pick an even darker one. I like this one, so I'm gonna stick with this. So, how do I do the hair blocking? I do it like, you know how your Wi-Fi, oh no, cellular data looks like this. You sort of do the same, but you wiggle the brush to give it like that bumpy texture, and you just have to repeat that. So like this. But you curve it to the side because, as I said earlier, you think of the hair as like one object. So the hair is circular, so you have to curve it like an actual hair. Like that. I curve it. That. Now, I've done like the basic highlight. And what I'm gonna do now is, how do you add the darker part? Let's use the hair I made earlier as an example. So, how there is this light part and then there's this dark part. So how do you choose that part? You pick the midtone between the recently made highlight you made and then the darker part it's on. I pick this, then I start from where I picked it and then do that in the end. Now you just made the dark part. Then you just do the same highlight again, but this time it's not supposed to be as bright as this. You just want to make it like slightly brighter. So I just pick the midtone for this part, like the end part, and then this part, the brighter part. Pick the midtone, and then you start there while going near the highlight. So I just made the main highlight and the sub highlight is what I like to call it. Now you just have to repeat that. Bright color, dark color, midtone. Then you just do it again. Then dark color, midtone. Just do it again and again until it's done. If you think, oh, it's too dark, you can like do only half and then pick the midtone of that and then pick that. It's too dark. Now, For the ones closer to the strand, what do? I pick the mid-tone again, as usual. This is the bright part and this is the dark part. So this, and then I go pick that, and then I go to the darkest part of the strand, and I make the block like that. It's not connected to anything. It's not connected to the highlight or this. Then you repeat the same process here. Then for the bright part, you pick the mid-tone of the dark part, and you do that. If it's too dark, you can pick a different mid-tone. And it comes out like that. I'm gonna do the dark part. Remember mid-tones. Mid-tone, mid-tone, mid-tone. So now you're done with your left side of the hair. Wow, that's awesome. Now you just repeat the same process through these other hairs. And I'll do it without saying anything, so that. Nope, I don't like that, so I'm gonna pick a brighter one. And the dark part. The lightest part. The lighting here is harsher because it's where the light starts, so that, then the mid-tone, and the mid-tone here again for this part. I'm gonna do the other strand of hair. Mid-tone. Then you block the line art, like inside the line art. The mid-tone again. Dark part. Dark part. Too dark, so I'm gonna pick a different dark color. Mid-tone, light part. It's too bright. I'm gonna pick lower one. Then dark part. Right. Let's start. Then this part again. Dark part. That's how I do it. Now, sometimes I like adding little brighter parts than the highlights, like this highlight you just made, this part. So, this, sometimes I pick a lighter color and add a little bit of strands nearby. Gonna do the same here. Too bright, so I'm gonna make it darker. This part, gonna make it darker. No, I mean lighter. Why did I say darker? Sorry. Then if you want the other parts lighter too, you can do it the same. But I don't overdo it usually. Too bright. There. Then I do a little bit of it here. And that's how I do the shading. Now it's time for me to go to the line art. So I pick that and then a more saturated darker color. And I do that. If it's too dark, you can change it. Bit like that. I just do block the line art I made earlier. But you don't have to do it if you don't wanna. Because it's really preference now at this point. I'm just quickly going over it. Doesn't have to be perfect since you can just fix it up anytime. Like that. Then I pick a desaturated darker color for a little bit more detail on the hair. Because sometimes it can get a little too saturated and you wouldn't want that. especially when you draw the face alongside that. That's how I do that here. For the back hair, usually for this, I usually make this kind of pattern. I'm not sure what to call it. I'll just call it like C. Do that kind of pattern for the very top of the head, like symbolize that it's connected to something. It's too bright, but I think I already made it too bright, so I'll just fix it up a bit. You can be messy, it doesn't have to be very clean. You Now for this, we're going back to the cellular phone icon shape. And then you block the line art again. Not too much. Now, remember what I taught you in this part? This part. You just have to do it again for the strands. Doesn't have to be clean, as I said. Then do the dark part for the bright part again. That doesn't have to be good because you have to remember it's behind the character. So giving it too much detail might not be favorable. Then I add a little bit of light there. Then I do the dark part or the spots I feel like that need it. It's not really required all the time. Then I block the line art again. As I said earlier, it doesn't have to be very good. You just have to make it real. And that's how I do it. Wow. Sometimes I add a little bit of pink if it's too saturated. And then I'll color it up. Yeah, that. Too much pink, maybe lower. I'll go 30%. Then I merge them. So it looks. That's how I do it. Yippee, I'm done.